following show is for entertainment purposes only and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Empire Media LLC, its subsidiaries, affiliates, sponsors, and advertisers.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 128 of Motor City Uncut, presented by the Major Sports Network Detroit. I'm your host, Dorf, joined each and every week by Major Sports Network founder Adam Hernandez, and still doesn't have a job title, Shawn Bell. So thanks for joining us tonight here on January 16th, 2017. And also shout out to those watching us currently on Facebook Live. We are streaming the, as long as the feed will hold without melting Adam's phone down.
Yeah, we're veterans of the podcasting, but I mean we're still trying to nail down this Facebook Live thing.
Pretty much, if you don't run it through a traditional like camera and then mixing software through a computer, your phone melts down because it just can't handle all the processing and everything like that.
Well, I've got an iPhone. I don't have one of those Androids that
has superior processing power.
What?
Yes, of
the
course.
Android? No.
Yeah,
no, that tends to blow up or
that's
catch
just
on fire.
The Galaxy Note 7, whatever.
Hey, what happened with yours the other day?
It was just fine. All I did was restart it, and it was been fine ever since.
Yeah, and it was getting ready to burn a hole in your pocket, right?
No, it wasn't. It just got warm. Anyway, welcome to tonight's program. As we teased earlier, abbreviated show tonight. It is, in all intents and purposes, the dead season for Detroit sports specifically. There are no college sports of note right now. You're in the middle of the basketball season, which currently is quite uneventful. You're the dog days of both the NBA and the NHL hockey season. So not much going on, especially considering how stale essentially the Detroit sports market has gotten. So that we're going to kind of steal a topic that was featured last week on the airwaves of 97.1 The Ticket during the Lenny and Foster show. What is the stalest amongst the four teams in Detroit sports? What I mean is, whose shtick has gotten the oldest? Who is ready? Who are you ready to essentially hit the reset button on? And who is it? And we'll also ask a couple more things related to this. So, with that being said, who do you guys is the stalest? Who's the stalest of them all?
Well, I look at this a couple different ways because when you're prefacing the topic, there's a couple different things that you said that are kind of key points to touch on. When you talk about who's the stalest, for me, it would seem like the correct answer would be the Red Wings because they've been going at it the longest with pretty much the same formula.
Mediocre results
for running the team, whether it's keeping guys in Grand Rapids too long, same front office management essentially. But for me, the stalest team, when I was thinking about this, it has to be the Detroit Lions because how long have we been going along with this loyalty thing and the Fords having the first say in whatever happens with the team. Now, like I said, the Red Wings have been going on with this for a long time too. However, the Red Wings have championships.
Yeah, they've won stuff.
Yeah, they have championships to kind of vouch for what they've been doing all of these years, whereas the Lions don't. And yes, I know Bob Quinn is new. He's a fresh face, but
he can't do what he wants to do because, like you said, the Ford has the last say in everything. And,
Shawn, your mic's not working.
Give me the wrong freaking microphone, people.
Well,
I don't think this one's hooked up to anything.
I think there is a reason for that.
Screw you guys.
Didn't want you back anyway.
Go fuck yourselves. No.
Hey, we're on Facebook Live. Language.
Go fart yourself.
Go F yourself.
Go fart yourself.
So, no. Anyways, like you said, Bob Quinn has no say in anything, really, to be honest. It's, the Fords have the last in it.
I like Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, it's dumb. They need to, if you're going to bring in a new a new GM, whatever. Just let them run the show. Just let them. You know, you want to win. You know, you can't bring them in. Obviously, you're showing that you can't win yourself.
You know what franchises who have long spurts of ineptitude have? All have in common?
What's that?
What?
Meddling owners.
Yeah.
It's true.
Long spurts. I mean, you can throw Detroit Tigers in this mix. When was the last time they won anything? 84?
84 when they won the World
We're looking
Series.
at 32 seasons ago.
Look, what they did in 2003 was great. Or not 2003, but 2006. What they did
06,
in
2012. Yeah.
What they did in 2003, yeah, that was the
Yeah.
opposite of great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't it like 160?
Futile.
But 06, that was great. They get something for that because you're 3 years removed from setting the AL record for losses in a season. You get something for that. But I mean, ever since then, look, going to the AL championship and winning that
It isn't good enough anymore.
You've won the division sometimes.
it's
Ooh,
nice
whoop-de-doo.
the first and second time, but look, after that, I need a World Series. But again, though, the Tigers have done something with that, though.
Yeah,
there was some level of success to what they've been doing. The Lions haven't given us anything of that sort in ever.
Was it
Ever.
54 or something like that when they won the only
1957.
50? No, it was in 50s or something like that. Where
Yeah.
it wasn't even a Super Bowl yet. It was just
No,
a
no,
championship.
It was the AFL NFL championship.
Yeah.
It was pre-Super Bowl era, yeah, and that's the way I look at it. I know there's some other things you said in there, Dorf, but as far as looking at it from the perspective of just straight staleness, it has to be the Lions.
I'm not going to argue that point.
No,
I really won't. But at the same time, if I have to cast my vote, and this is an election, in the purely democratic sense, I'm going to have to vote for the Red Wings. You know what? The Lions. My expectation was essentially since I've been born. Been a sentient sports fan. They're going to suck. Who cares?
But that's the point, though.
Yeah.
Isn't that in and of itself
It's not
stale?
Well, it's not stale. That was the expectation. Failure to just excuse me. Being mediocre was only ever my expectation for the Lions.
So you're
but
basically-
what I'm saying is I have higher expectations for the Red Wings, and the fact that they're unwilling to change their formula at all or try anything new. At least you know what, despite their follies at general manager, they've at least cycled through a couple since they're since modern.
So basically, kind of how I see it, like you're kind of going at it like, the best team obviously has been the Red Wings throughout our generation, throughout our lives, basically, and they're just not doing what they usually do. You're not, this is the difference, and we're so used to watching.
But
the
at the
Lions
same time,
suck. You're so used
what
to
makes
Pistons
them
suck.
most stale for me is they're not changing their formula to building a team. They're not changing their franchise. There's no turnover in it. Well, there's been a turnover in coach, but only essentially because the guy wanted to leave. He wasn't fired. You haven't had a turnover in the front office. The only thing you've had change in the front office essentially is Steve Yzerman left because he got a better job. Other than that, it's been the same fucking crew running the show there for what, 20 years?
Well, I will say this. There's a couple of things with what you just said. First of all, Mike Babcock didn't want to leave. He was given an offer he couldn't refuse.
Right.
Fair enough.
Second,
You didn't see the Red Wings fight too hard to retain him, though.
well, because it was a ridiculous contract.
absolutely
though.
was.
I mean, they can't pay. No team should pay that much for a head coach.
$8 million for a head coach.
Yes, it was ridiculous. Second, I would argue that the team is changing things up a little bit because they are playing the kids more so than what they have in past seasons.
How's that going for him?
Well, that's part of the
Okay.
That's part of the price
it is fair.
of playing kids.
But you know what? They're doing a rebuild half-assed. You should literally sell anything that's not bolted to the floor. If you're gonna
I'll save that for the next.
You know what? You're right. We should save that. But to me, yeah, they're all stale. And I think that was the point of the Valenti and Foster segment is they're all stale.
I don't think the Pistons are. Pistons are not stale.
I don't think
You're right,
Pistons are.
because you know what? They're in the upswing of a rebuild. They are. They've reached rock bottom, and they're well, despite their follies this season, are trending in a positive direction.
And I know, and we have something up on the website too about Stan Van Gundy getting that vote of confidence, essentially by Tom Gores. And Look, bottom line is, even when it comes to that, what are we, 2.5 years into the Van Gundy era right now? Mm-hmm. I think the argument can be made that the Pistons last season were overachievers and ahead of schedule.
And this year they're achieving more their level where they should be.
I think you could make that argument. I really do.
And you know what? I think we could have that discussion. I'm not going to immediately dismiss that as bonkers.
Which is why I'm not jumping on the Pistons for what hasn't happened this year, and why I'm not willing to call them stale yet. Simply because I think they're maybe right where we thought they would be.
Yeah. And you know what? That's absolutely fair.
I mean, the defense, I don't think that there's any excuse for the defense. But then again, you go and look at defenses around the NBA, it's all bad pretty much.
Yeah, it's the NBA has become an offensive game for sure.
It absolutely is an offensive game. But you know what? Teams around the league who are slightly good to actually good all have in common that play that level of defense? They all can score a lot better. They're all better offensively than the Detroit Pistons.
Right.
Detroit Pistons have several limited players that are in their everyday lineup. They don't have a guy, a A1 type premier player. They don't. They have 5 very, very nice players in their starting lineup. They have 5 guys who on a given night will give you 15. 15 times 5 is what?
Well, Reggie Jackson and Tobias Harris are the only two that are averaging over 15 points per game.
Okay. Well, you know what? Andre Drummond
is averaging pretty close to
It's pretty close.
But then I think, what was it?
Marcus Morris is where?
Marcus Morris is like 12, and same thing with KCP. And then...
you know what? That's a lot of nice players. Nice players.
And then you got...
They don't have that guy that, even when he's off, will still get you 20. Which is what you need to succeed in this league. And hell, you almost need 2 of them.
Yes, you do. This is how a lot of these teams are built nowadays.
Yeah, you need 2. And you know what? You don't have that guy that you can make up with on the bench that's, can't guard guard his way out of a paper bag, but you know what? He'll fall into 15 points if you give him 20 minutes.
You know what? I want to real quick though, Dorf. I want to get back to what you were saying about the Lions and how that was your expectation. And again, you see that for me, that is exactly what
it is no longer my expectation, but it was until almost the current.
But you see, and I'm not going to lump you in with this because obviously you just mentioned it too, that it's not your expectation. But it seems like for the past couple of weeks, I've been battling with people on social media about the level of expectation, it seems like, with the Detroit Lions. And we talked about it last week too, that when the season started, there was a level of expectation for us with this Lions team that was intensified as the season progressed. And that's totally within the rules too, I think, of being a fan and having expectations with a certain team, whatever team you're talking about. But again, how long are fans going to think that mediocrity with the Detroit Lions is okay? To me, that adds to the stale culture that has become the Detroit Lions.
And absolutely, you look at, for example, other fan bases, if we just want to compare and contrast here. Mike McCarthy, Green Bay's head coach. Almost unprecedented levels of success outside of, like, Darth Hoodie. Maybe Mike Tomlin, you could throw him in there. And name a few. In the modern era, we're not going to go back to Vince Lombardi. But modern era, almost unprecedented levels of success. You can almost lump Pete Carroll into there, too. They've been trying to get his ass fired in Green Bay for 3 years. He's about to lead them to a fucking Super Bowl again.
I remember we were talking to Chris Peterson of the Fansided Wolverine blog.
Who also runs Green Bay Packers
website. Yep. And I mean, it seemed like he was kind of echoing the sententiments.
It's like,
maybe
I
not
fucking
him,
hate the guy.
But he was talking. That came up though during the course of that discussion was Mike McCarthy and his way of doing things.
And you know what? You may not like his way he does things. You know what? I don't have my complaints as an outside observer about Mike McCarthy, for instance. But I think Ted Thompson, their GM, is a boob. But
he can be a boob all he wants when he has a team like that winning for him.
Sign a fucking free agent, would you? For fuck's sake,
Why-
he
well,
like turns his phone off and goes on vacation.
Well, the thing
at
is,
the
just
opening
like,
of free
why,
agency.
why should he sign a free agent when he can draft these guys that Aaron Rodgers
Except
can
he
turn
really
into
doesn't.
talent?
I'm talking about is more of his depth in the defensive backfield, where they've been shallow as fuck for how long? Forever. And they're playing
like, you look
undrafted rookie
and you look at like
scrubs.
Micah Hyde, who's like their best player, who's
They're playing undrafted rookie scrubs
They got
at
Ha-Ha
corner.
Clinton
yeah. I was about to say they got Clinton Dix.
Okay, you know what?
His name alone is
three
like
very
awesome.
nice safeties. You've got Hyde, you've got Clinton Dix, and you have Morgan Burnett. Three very nice safeties. Cornerback? Oh, fuck it. We don't need any of them.
Well, you got Jake Ryan and Clay Matthews, and I don't know. They've been pretty darn good.
Jake Ryan's awful. Jake Ryan as a pro is awful.
It's been pretty solid to me, I think.
Yeah, check Pro Football Focus. They're not kind to him.
What about Clay Matthews?
Yeah,
Yeah, average edge rusher.
Now.
yeah. Give it about 3 years ago.
Sorry, Nick Perry's better than him. Julius Peppers. I mean, you know what? You still have him out there as a sub-package player. It's great. The Packers have quite been going on defense.
This is a good preview, too, for the Majors Live coming up next
Yes.
on the Majors.net, where we'll be talking a little bit about what happened this past weekend and in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So, sorry, Dorf, go ahead.
No, you're good. And this is all good discussion, but all getting back to the point, the greater point here. Packers fans have higher expectations of their franchise. Lions fans should too. Winning 10-plus games a year and just being in the playoffs as an NFL franchise shouldn't be good enough. You should demand excellence. You know what? If you don't make a playoff run once every 5 years, I'm sorry. Burn it down.
What about
Sell everything that's not bolted to the ground. Now, with the in the NFL, with the exception of the quarterback position, I don't care what else you have. If it's not burned, bolted down, and I can get something for it, sell.
I'm going to ask you. Well, we haven't discussed the Tigers too much in this situation.
And you know what? Because I don't think I can.
Al Avila's too new still.
I don't think
Meddling
he's not new. He's been around.
Getting back to the very beginning of the discussion, what are things who consistently mediocre teams have in common? Meddling owners. Look at Dallas Cowboys. Yes, this year was an aberration. But what else have they had? The Raiders, prior to Al Davis dying. They were awful.
Awful. Yeah.
Dallas, for the last 15 years, has been awful. Since Troy Aikman left the team, Dallas until this year has been bad. Because you have an owner who meddles too much.
Do you think they're going to come back down to earth next year? Because I know you're not a fan of. Dak Prescott.
I'm not a fan of Dak Prescott. No. Make him. You know what? Oh, he's all this precision, all this time. You know what? I was as effectively playing corner for the Green Bay Packers against. Or Shawn, you could probably cover guys better than freaking. What's his nuts? The kid that they had playing out at guarding Des Bryant. You could probably cover Des Bryant just as good, if not better.
I would like to see that.
That is a huge exaggeration, but you get the point.
Hey, you never know. I have some speed.
Okay,
Maybe.
two other things, Dorf.
Yeah,
two other teams. I'm going to throw at you, and
Sure.
I want to know what you think.
The New York
And
Yankees and Hank Steinbrenner.
No, they're local.
Okay.
Michigan State basketball, Michigan State football. I know it's a little. I know it's a little
basketball?
different considering the turnover with college teams.
That's what makes it a little less of
Oh, I know.
harder to call something stale
Sure.
when you can only have a guy on campus 4 years.
But you've had Tom Izzo in the same spot for.
I don't disagree with you. It is getting stale. And you know what? You've kind of seen this year a change in the mantra of I only want 4-year players. I think this year he finally said, fuck it. And you know what? Look, doesn't know how to coach the one and dones. Look what's happening this year. It's embarrassing. Michigan State football, I'm not ready to put stale on it yet.
No.
Bad year, absolutely. I don't think you're not going to be 2012 to 2014 good next year, but you ain't going to be, any worse than you were this
It's
year.
going to be a little bit better than what they had
you're not going to be any worse. Yeah, you're not going to be worse than you were this year, but you're not going to be 2012 to 14 good.
This caught you off guard, though, this year,
No.
though.
Oh, this year?
Yes.
Oh, fuck no.
No?
Dorf actually called a bloodbath.
No. Dorf said it was going to be bad. I'll give him that. But did you think it was going to be that bad?
No.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I said 7 wins was a realistic expectation for him.
But
I got laughed at.
And did they only get 3 wins or 4 wins?
Yes, they did. 3 wins.
Gosh.
They went 3-9. I said 7 was a realistic expectation. Wouldn't be surprised at 6. Wouldn't be also surprised for 9.
Yeah, God, they only got 3 wins. Holy shit! So they beat
You
Rutgers.
fucking lost to Illinois.
They beat
That was a-
Rutgers,
that
Notre
was-
Dame and
Now, do you-
Furman.
Do you think that could be like the biggest turnaround from one season to the other season in college football?
Making them no. Stuff
You don't
like,
think so?
Realistically, stuff like that happens quite frequently.
Really?
Yeah.
Look, that's turnover.
Look at Oregon too. Oregon only won 3 games this year too.
Oregon's been off the map though for
Yes.
a couple of years now, haven't they?
No, the
No, last year didn't they?
they won the Pac-12 last
yeah,
year.
see, they won. Yeah,
I couldn't remember that.
Yeah, they won the Pac-12
Yeah,
in,
maybe it's
in
because
20.
maybe it's because it's the Pac-12.
that's true. Nobody cares about the Pac-12.
A lot of people care about the
I
Pac-12.
would say a lot of people could not
trying-
around here, but a lot of people care about the Pac-12.
Trying to make it easier for you.
All right. New angle, new spin on this topic. Who is closest amongst the teams, the major four in Detroit, winning a championship? Who is farthest away?
Okay,
The farthest away.
This is what makes this whole Tigers offseason a travesty because they are the closest team still to winning a championship.
I know. And they haven't done shit.
And they haven't done shit. And no matter what they say in the media, the Tigers are trying to cut back on salary. They absolutely are, and it's so sad because they have one of the greatest hitters of this generation, maybe the greatest
Ever.
hitter of just maybe ever, and Miguel Cabrera, and they're going to waste him if they start rebuilding this team. They're not winning a World Series with Miguel Cabrera on this roster if they decide to.
And arguably the most dominant right-handed pitcher
Yeah, I was saying you could possibly
of a generation.
in our generation, one of the best pitchers for us to see in our
And you know
generation.
what? You know how much they lucked out too, and kind of rebuilding that pitching staff by getting Michael Fulmer and Daniel Norris back.
In one
Yeah.
offseason?
Yes, they still put themselves in a prime position to be okay at pitching.
And the things you look at it too, the division that we play in right now,
It's
awful.
awful. It's an
It's
awful
so
division.
bad.
I don't care what
You've got the Indians who are all right, but you've got then 3 other teams that are in the middle of a rebuild.
Yeah,
Oh, what? The
You
Indians-
could show up drunk and win 85 games.
you could have David Wells come out and be fine.
David Wells and eating ice cream and potato chips on the mound.
No, he's diabetic, so I wouldn't go.
Okay, fat-free ice cream. All right.
Sugar-free ice cream.
Well, it's okay.
Good thing you're not diabetic.
I know. I'm screwed.
Sugar-free ice cream and low sodium potato chips. But yeah, you're right. The Detroit Tigers are still the closest of the 4 teams here to a championship. Who's the farthest away?
The farthest
Lions.
away, Lions for sure. Yeah.
I disagree. You are never more than 2 seasons away from a championship in the NFL if you have a quarterback. And I do believe, Matthew Stafford isn't perfect. You have a quarterback who is good enough to win a Super Bowl.
But the thing is, you got to look at it. Doesn't he only have 1 more year after this on his contract?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're gonna resign him.
They'll re-sign him.
You think they're going to resign him? You
Oh,
think Stafford's going to want to stay here?
Yeah.
Because he's gonna get a fucking.
He's going to get $120 million with 80 of it guaranteed.
Dude, Sean, we talked about this. Remember, this is why they didn't bring back.
Yeah,
Sue
I know.
and
I know.
Calvin Johnson.
I know.
For the Stafford contract. Thankfully, they
So,
made
all
the
right,
right decision.
in order from most likely to win a championship sooner to least likely to win a championship sooner, rank your 4 teams.
Okay.
Go.
So, okay. The Tigers are going to be first because they're the closest, I think.
So Tigers are number 1.
Yep, Tigers number 1, and then I'd say the Pistons, then the Lions, and then the Red Wings.
I think the Red Wings are the farthest.
Yes.
Okay. What about you?
I'm gonna go with the Tigers being the closest. Okay.
You need to come back to you?
No, Tigers, Red Wings, Pistons, Lions.
Wow, you guys both down the lines. I'm going to go Tigers, Lions, Red Wings, Pistons.
Really?
I do declare. Yeah, the Lions out now. That doesn't mean they're close, but they are the second closest franchise in the city to winning a championship. All right. Perfect segue. Buying or selling? What should the Detroit Pistons and Detroit Red Wings do at the deadline? Oh, looks like we're back on. Look at that.
Yeah, it just comes back on.
look at
And,
that.
you know,
Yeah, I know. The
So we'll
damn
just let it-
Facebook live feed just keeps cutting in and out because,
So we'll just let it roll. Whatever.
Yeah.
screw it.
Whatever.
So, Red Wings or Pistons? Buy or sell at the deadline?
Are we doing both, you said?
We're going to do both.
Okay.
Red Wings. They currently are, what, last in the Atlantic?
No. Are they? I think there's the team before.
Pretty sure they are last in the Atlantic.
I think they are.
No, they're not.
No,
The
I was gonna
Sabres
say,
are,
yeah,
Sabres
I
are
was gonna say
technically behind
there was
them.
one team behind them, I saw.
Hey man.
Yeah, the
1-0
Sabres are 1 point back.
1-0 win today. Over
Did
Yeah.
you see-
over
they
the
did beat the
Canadiens.
Atlantic's best team today.
Yeah, 1-0. So,
Jade Carter, another
See, the thing is, it's kind of hard for them to buy, really, isn't it?
okay. Well, this is
Kind of a tricky one right here.
Well, this is the thing with the Red Wings, and this is what makes it kind of they're kind of in a tough spot because you look at
they have
the
so
te-
much talent.
You look at the team itself.
They don't.
No, I think they do. You look at the team itself. The pieces that they are going to sell or that they could sell. Jimmy Howard is somebody that they should sell, but they shouldn't sell for the fact of just selling. They need to sell Jimmy
To
Howard.
improve that position.
Well, no,
I think.
they need to get rid of Jimmy Howard because they're not going to be able to protect him this offseason when the expansion draft comes around. Some of these other guys that they could possibly
Believe it or not, the Wings are only 4 points out of a playoff spot.
No, I do believe that.
Playing in East.
The thing is too is you look at some of these other pieces that they could sell. Could they sell Mike Green and get something back for him?
Absolutely.
Yes, they could. Could they sell Henrik Zetterberg and get something back for him?
If he'd waive his no trade clause.
If he'd waive his no trade clause. Could they, and Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek is probably the guy that they would be able to get the
Absolutely.
most for because he has an expiring deal this year, and he's been doing
a nice season.
Yeah, and he's having a nice season. Other than that, I don't think you get that much in return for Henrik Zetterberg, just because of his contract. I don't know what Mike Green's contract is, but he isn't a
He's
multi-year.
got 6 years, $6 million next year.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so you might be able to get something more for him. Other than that, you're not going to be getting rid of some of your younger guys. The only guy that I could say that you maybe should look into getting rid of, as far as some of those younger guys go, that you may be able to get something back in return. And I'm talking maybe, like a later round draft pick, and that's Gustav Nyquist because
The Gus Bus.
because you may have to end up not protecting him when the expansion draft comes
He
around.
wouldn't cry a river if he wasn't protected.
So the Pistons, on the other hand, again, it's another tough situation. There's guys on that roster that you could look to get rid of. There's a Marcus Morris.
That's the main guy. I
Could
think.
you look to get rid of him? Yes. However, right now you're in year 2.5 of the Stan Van Gundy rebuild, and I don't think you want to shake things up
Right.
dramatically.
Marcus Morris, to me, he is 27. He's going to be a guy that's going to be peaked and over the hill by the time you're ready to compete.
But the thing is, too, I agree with you. But on our team, I think he's the one guy that we could trade to, improve this era or whatever. But the thing is, too, is if we keep him, he could be that guy, that veteran guy, when that time comes around, when we know we're going to make it to the playoffs and go far. He could be that guy to help lead some of these.
What
younger
has he
guys.
done in the playoffs?
But
Has he ever made the playoffs?
But you know what, Sean? The way I look at that, okay, that's a deadline deal that you make when you are a buyer and you are one piece away from.
Well, we are. That's how I see it. We are that one piece away. I don't. I'm like, and I think
You're one piece away from making the playoffs.
And Marcus
you're
Morris
like
to
two
me is
pieces
that
away
guy
from
that
making
is
noise.
not helping us, really, to be honest.
Okay, you still have to go. You still have to go through LeBron James.
Yes.
And Cleveland. Are they going the way that this roster is constructed right now? Are they going through LeBron James and winning the East?
No, they're getting home and sent home in 4 games.
Yeah, they got swept last year. That's the way I look at it. I mean, you still need some of your younger guys to develop. You need Stanley Johnson to develop.
Yeah,
you need Andre Drummond to not be a liability late in games.
He needs to make a free throw. That's what we need.
You need Reggie Jackson to continue to develop into the floor leader that he should be out there.
Yeah, and that's.
I mean, there's still so much the Pistons need to do. Not to mention the Pistons still may need to adapt to the NBA the current NBA formula for success. Not the Pistons' formula for success, but the NBA's formula for success.
I don't think you're wrong on any of this. Honestly, I would, if I'm the Pistons, I look to sell. I know I'm not a legitimate contender. This is the East where I'm likely going to have to play LeBron in the first round. Sorry, I'm not. The NBA will not let LeBron get bounced in the first round.
It's funny though, Dorf, because they could sell, but are you going to be looking to getting rid of Tobias Harris?
I wouldn't cry over that. I mean, he is only 24. He'll still be playing peak basketball by the time you're ready.
To be honest, he's our best player, I think.
He is by win shares. I believe Tobias Harris is your best player.
I think he is too. And that's why, when they're going over that, whatever.
I'm not. You know what? Contavious Caldwell-Pope. The only reason you really consider is, do you lose him? That's the only reason you'd potentially deal him. Tobias Harris, you've still got for 2 more years after this. Reggie Jackson just signed a 5-year deal. He's not going anywhere. John. I don't know what John Lure's contract it looks like. I don't know if he has a.
You know what?
He's a nice player, though.
Again, you're looking to get guys in return too.
You ain't gonna get shit for any of these guys.
And that's the whole point is. If you're going to sell, you need to sell and get assets back.
Yeah.
You don't sell just to sell. And I think the Red Wings the Red Wings and Pistons are in a very peculiar spot because I don't think they have enough to sell and get adequate assets in return that will make it worth it.
But the only thing you can really do is just, you're not looking necessarily for player assets. You're looking for picks. Yeah, likely where those picks will fall, they won't be great. But you know what? You still have a chance at something great.
Sure.
Unlikely, but it's not a known commodity where, like, a player is who they are. You at least have a chance to do what you want with that pick, or you can turn around and use that pick to acquire other talent. So,
And you see, but
I want picks.
But you see, most of that is
I want
is
so many
reliant-
draft picks. I don't know what to do with them all.
See, a lot of that though is, especially in the NBA and the NHL, a lot of that's relying on what you do throughout the season. So, if that's the case, then it's not a matter of whether or not they should sell. It's a matter of whether or not they should tank.
Yeah,
Because they're both lotteries.
they have too much talent to tank, though. I don't think they could be that bad.
I know, and that's.
I don't think they could on purpose be that bad, unless, of course, they just said, Tobias, you're taking this month off. Or, Andre, you're not dressing tonight. Why? Because reasons. They can't be intentionally bad enough to tank.
Sixers were doing that.
Yeah, but their roster was gross. Pistons roster isn't that gross. They have a lot, like I said, they have a lot of nice players.
The Sixers, though, were going out of their way, though, to sign shitty players.
Shitty players, yeah. Hey, what's it? Last name's Brand. Fucking, I forget.
Elton Brand?
Elton Brand. Yeah, I know you haven't played quality NBA minutes in like 5 years, and you're still technically under contract with us.
We're signing you to a 2-year deal.
You're starting, buddy. Get in there.
Yeah. He's like, I haven't stepped a foot on court in
What?
3 years.
You told me to stop coming to practice.
He's like, I gained 35 pounds.
You told me to go home. I'm retired. Nope, get your ass back in here. You're starting tonight. The fuck? Whatever. Actually, by the Josh Hollinger PER metric player efficiency rating, the best player on the team is Andre Drummond. John Lure and Tobias Harris are like neck and neck. They got a lot of nice players. So, for example, Andre Drummond is like a 21 by that metric, so a 21.2. What is LeBron James? I'm curious. I'm gonna look this up.
I wish the NHL had an easy.
Ron Brown's actually only a 26.5, but at the same time, Kevin Love's a 23, Kyrie Irving's a 22. Player, and then they've got a whole list of guys down the line that are quality players as well. You don't have that. It's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating.
It's just an odd position for both these teams to be in.
You're in a position where you have to if just by staying the course, you won't get any better. Probably won't get any worse, but you won't get any better. So you got to go for it by buying aggressively, or you got to burn it down and start over.
You see who's in the perfect position. Well, not quite the perfect position, but I mean, let's say the Tigers are in the middle of the season now, and they had Miguel Cabrera, Justin Verlander, and expiring deals.
King's ransom, bitches.
Exactly. I mean, that's.
They could have a field day.
Oh yeah.
The only problem is both of them are signed till the end of the decade.
And they can say whether or not if they get traded.
And they both have 10 and 5 rights. Goddamn baseball and their fucking Players Association and the collective bargaining agreement.
Their unions suck.
Their union.
Goddamn union.
Their union that actually does their
job. We're
complaining
about that, but then you got the unions that actually in our normal day, people's lives.
Yeah, their union who's not getting sued by one of its players for participating in a witch hunt against him.
Yeah, baseball union is probably the best.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Football, worse.
When was the last time there was a labor stoppage?
99.
Wasn't there one? Wasn't there one after the strike?
Like for 5 minutes.
It was in the off season, I think.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there technically was almost one this year for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, almost.
All right. So last but not least tonight on the program, the cut room floor. There was a report out late last week, that Tigers general manager El Avila does not have a specific directive from ownership to slash payroll, but is trying to do so anyway because reasons.
Because he's a liar.
Because everybody's a liar and no one knows what's going on, and yeah. Tim Lester, new head coach at Western Michigan. I believe he was the quarterbacks coach.
He was quarterbacks coach for Purdue.
Yeah.
I think he had the same position. I think he might have been.
He was quarterbacks coach at Western this past season.
No, he wasn't.
Wasn't he?
No, he was at Purdue.
He was at Purdue.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
He was at Purdue. Prior to that, he was at Syracuse. He used to be a quarterbacks coach, I think, at Western back during the mid 2000s, if I remember correctly. But he's also a former quarterback for 4-year starter for Western Michigan from in the late 90s.
Is that why he sounds familiar?
Yeah, set some records.
Okay, so yes, you're right. Purdue's quarterbacks coach this year, OC and QB coach at Syracuse in 14-15, QB and recruiting coordinator in 13-14 at Syracuse, head coach at Elmhurst College for 5 seasons prior to that. So he's been a couple other places. But also younger guy, 39 years old. They're hoping they can keep some of that PJ Fleck magic, but don't mistake the two. They're not the same guy.
Dang, he's got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, he does.
And also the Red Wings won today, as we previously mentioned.
Woo!
1-0. Jared Courier best Carey Price.
Yep, and Thomas Vanek had the lone goal in the second period.
All right, so that is going to...
By way of Danny DeKaiser.
Oh, finally, something out of Danny DeKaiser. All right, that is going to wrap up tonight's program. This 128th episode of Motor City Uncut, presented by the Major Sports Network Detroit. Join us each and every week live at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Detroit.themajors.net. So for Adam and Shawn, I'm Dorf. We'll see you guys next time.